Good evening, barflies and lounge lizards, and welcome to Late Night Video. And tonight we'll be taking a look at Death Rides a Horse from 1967. Directed by Giulio Petroni, who is probably best known for this very film, Death Rides a Horse is a dark spaghetti western, and it tells the story of a young boy who is mysteriously rescued after he witnesses his family brutalized and killed by a vicious gang. After years of training and becoming an expert gunslinger, he sets out for revenge. Then he runs across an older gunslinger, one who is also out for revenge on the very same gang for betraying him years before, a betrayal that would lead to 15 years in prison. The two eventually team up and end up in one of the best final showdowns your martini-soaked host has ever seen grace a spaghetti western screen. And the film stars John Philip Law as our young gunslinger out for revenge. Law should be no stranger to the viewers of this channel, having been in Danger Diabolic, The Golden Voyage of Sinbad, and Barbarella, the latter of which he had already signed up to star in, saw a production delay, so he ended up doing Death Rides a Horse while waiting. Interestingly, Law turned down roles in both Midnight Cowboy and Easy Rider. Later in his career, he would move into lower budget genre pictures including Space Mutiny and Alienator, a Fred Olen Ray semi-remake of The Astounding She-Monster from that glorious year of 1957. Next, as our older gunslinger, though funnily he was younger than I am at the time, we have legendary Lee Van Cleef, who you probably know best from his incredible work in westerns such as the Dollars Trilogy, Sabata, and many, many more. But Mr. Van Cleef also did sci-fi with Escape from New York, It Conquered the World, and The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, film noir with Kansas City Confidential and The Big Combo, and even some martial arts with The Octagon and the 1984 TV series The Master, which saw him as a ninja master. Van Cleef's acting career actually stalled and then began to decline when he was in a major car wreck in 1958. But then came for a few dollars more and he ended up a bigger star than he ever was before. And finally, though the gang of bad guys is pretty large, I wanted to highlight Scottish actor Anthony Dawson, who had roles in Dr. No and Hammer's Curse of the Werewolf. But even more interesting, he was in two additional James Bond films, From Russia with Love and Thunderball, playing the white cat-petting villain Blofeld, but his face was never seen and his voice was dubbed over. This is a western, so there's not really any effects to speak of, but I did want to mention the great look and atmosphere of the film. The aforementioned final showdown takes place during a sandstorm, and it's just, well, a great effect. Death Rides a Horse was released in August of '67 in Italy, but didn't reach the States or the UK until 1969. And something else worth mentioning is that the film score is by the master of the Western score, Ennio Morricone. And this is some top-shelf vintage Morricone action right here. Epic in parts, tragic in others, and sometimes chaotic and strange, making it feel at times like it'd be set in the world of the Dollars Trilogy, but without feeling like a knockoff of said films. Even though a wee bit of music from A Fistful of Dollars was reused here. Now, the original title of the film was Duel in the Wind, but that would change after Lee Van Cleef suggested From Man to Man, because he said it felt like a man-to-man story. The producers liked that and took said title, only translating it to Italian. The title was then changed again for English-speaking regions to Death Rides a Horse, which supposedly John Philip Law never liked. Speaking of titles, the translated version of the German was The Bill Will Be Paid in Lead. The screenwriter Luciano Vincenzoni was also responsible for screenplays for a number of spaghetti westerns, including For a Few Dollars More, Duck You Sucker, as well as The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's said that he ended up writing Death Rides a Horse after a falling out with Sergio Leone.
When you've waited 15 years to kill a man, it's a shame you can only kill him once. This is revenge, and there's nothing sweet about it. Death Rides a Horse.
Nope, apparently the wacky didn't ride a horse. This one has been released on VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray. And I give this one 4 Van Cleef stashes out of 5. This is a great, underrated, overlooked spaghetti western. And it's also a really good place to go if you're new to spaghetti westerns and you've just finished a Dollars Trilogy. this is a good place to go next. And that's all the time we have for this week. Please like, comment, subscribe, and keep it wacky.
It's the Action Kids. What in the world are they up to now?
Let's get right down to business.
Business? What business?
Fun business!
The Fun Pack Carry-All Action Playset by Marx. Look, this opens up the wild action world of Fort Apache. With Indians, cavalrymen, shell-shooting cannons. And here are the Fighting Knights, with a real drawbridge, knights, Vikings, and rock-throwing catapults. Here's the boot camp, with tank, jeep, bullet-shooting machine guns, and 80 soldiers. Or land a helicopter at Cape Kennedy. Fire the rockets, back the space missile into the launching pad, and start the countdown. It's off into space. Zoom! Get Fort Apache. Get the Fighting Knights. Get the boot camp. Get Cape Kennedy. Get all four. And carry your own world of action wherever you go. The Rugged Steel Carry-All Action Playsets by Marx.
No Bronco Buster anywhere can ride a horse like Bosco Bear. 'Cause Bosco drinks his Bosco. Bosco drinks his Bosco. Bosco loves his Bosco.
You love Bosco too? It's real chocolatey.
Ma'am, if you've never served bird's eye beef burgers before, let me give you a word of warning. They seem to bring out the cowboy in a man. Now, some folks say it's the good lean beef that does it. Others will tell you it's the flavoring of Spanish onion. All we know is bird's eye beef burgers have rounded up the same big beefy taste that made the West go wild.